Welcome back. So you may know our next guest from the extremely popular podcast Serial and her friendship with Adnan Syed. Now Rabia Chaudry is out with her own memoir, Fatty Fatty Boom Boom, a book about food, family, and body image. Rabia joins me now on the couch. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You've had a very busy book tour.
Yes.
Which is great news because I love that the book is making its rounds. It's been such a busy time for you. I got to ask you first off, what has been your reaction to being part of Serial and what has happened since its launch?
Oh gosh, I mean, a lot happened since Serial. And, you know, I wasn't part of the production, but I was the one who took the case to the team because I've been advocating for Adnan Syed's exoneration since 1999. After Serial, I teamed up with a couple of other lawyers to keep the story going in a podcast Undisclosed. And just through further investigation, we found more evidence. And I mean, his conviction was overturned twice in 2017, then reinstated. I mean, it's just been ups and downs.
Yeah.
But finally, on September 19th of this year, his conviction was vacated and he was released and all charges against him have been dropped.
And this is incredible, but it's really opens the door for so many issues and problems with our justice system. Tell us about your own podcast, Undisclosed.
Well, you know, Undisclosed just began because we felt like there was so much more to the story than Serial was able to cover, and also it wasn't really examined the way a lawyer might look at it. So I teamed up with some lawyers, and we were like, we're just going to do one season to talk about Adnan's case. But as we were doing it, we started getting requests from family members of other people who were wrongfully convicted, from innocence projects. We ended up keeping that show going for 7 years, investigating and reporting on these other cases. And 13 of our defendants we were able to bring home. So it was really, I'm just so proud of like the work we did with Undisclosed.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So much of your work as a lawyer is peeling back layers. Did that work that you've been doing inspire you to start to peel back the layers and write your own memoir? Tell us about Fatty Fatty Boom Boom.
Well, I mean, Fatty Fatty Boom Boom came about because after my first book was released in 2016, immediately, you know, people started asking, what's your next book going to be? And well before Serial, I did a lot of public-facing advocacy, especially after 9/11, on lots of issues, civil rights issues, gender issues, interfaith issues, lots of things. And I realized the one thing I never had spoken about publicly was this one story that really, from the time I remember, like being a child up until adulthood, has always been part of my story, which is food, fat, and family, and my struggles and my weight journey. Not so much weight loss or weight gain, but just the entire journey. And I also realized that in private conversations, I was talking about this stuff all the time, but never publicly. And so does everybody else.
We totally do.
Everybody does. So I thought, this is the book this is the story I gotta tell.
How do you hope people think about themselves and their relationships with food after reading this? I think there was one thing you wrote in the book called, when you moved to the U.S., you called it the land of edible convenience, and that really struck me. Can you explain that?
Yeah, look, my parents came here as immigrants, and I was an immigrant, and so we really just were like, oh, America's the land of abundance, and also very convenient abundance, not realizing that you're paying a heavy price for that convenience. And I think it's taken a lot of us many, many years, just until recently, that we realized that, you know, we have to start going back to things that are whole foods and natural foods and not such highly processed foods, and just really examining what we're putting in our body, what the government allows us to eat. And a lot of people have very fraught relationships with food, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, food is meant for us to, we should be able to enjoy it. Allow ourselves to enjoy it, not hate ourselves for it, but also not harm ourselves with it. You know what I mean? Like that's striking the right balance.
It really is so important the way you put that into perspective, and talking about it in that way makes you realize that it's not just this other thing. I mean, it really is part of our dialogue and in a daily thing when we talk to ourselves and we talk to others. Reviewers have said that you've stuck by your honesty in this and that these topics are not always easy to discuss. When you talk about your uncle telling you a man can look like anything, I mean, this is hard stuff.
Yeah, no, but it's, look, if I was going to write this book, I imagine the reader to be somebody like me, and I wanted to be as honest as possible, to the point of saying, I remember exactly how much I weighed at different points in my life and what I was feeling, and this is what those numbers were, and these are all the things I went through, and I just didn't want to leave anything out because it wouldn't be authentic. And I knew I have been in that place for decades where you feel this desperation, like I feel out of control. I don't know how to deal with my own body. And so I wanted to be as honest honest as possible because I understand how, especially women, how they experience these things, and I wanted this to kind of resonate with them.
I will say it did with me because as a woman whose body is changing, is getting older, has had babies, it really has reminded me to, stop, like you said, your weight at all times in your life. I mean, there's never been a time in my life that I didn't know exactly how much I weigh.
Yeah, and it's like burned into your brain. You can't forget these numbers. Yeah, it has a real impact on us. Yeah,
it really does. Yeah. What do you hope people think about when they finish reading Fatty Fatty Boom Boom?
I hope there's a couple different things. I hope one thing that they come away with is realizing that even though on paper they might not have anything in common with somebody like me, an American Muslim woman from a Pakistani background, that really our stories are so alike. The human experience is so alike, and that's something. But also that they are able to kind of examine what are the reasons that they have had the struggles they've had, and maybe there's some little mystery, as I've been able to kind of solve my own mystery of my body and what it responds to, and that it helps them solve a little mystery of their own.
Yeah, and if you can help one person, and I'm sure you're helping so many by
and I hope
they
get some laughs too.
Yeah,
yeah,
and because we got to laugh.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your book. Thank you for sharing your truth with us.
Thank you.
Good luck on the rest of the tour, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Thanks so much.
We'd love to have you back.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, just a reminder, Rabia is holding an author event tonight, Thursday, November 17th, that's today, at Elliott Bay Book Company. Check the website for details. Go listen to her speak. Meantime, we are